This week on Angelo's Workbench, we're going to be doing a lot of left turns. We're going to be building the Richard Petty 70 Superbird. I hope you'll stick around. Before we get into this week's video with the beautiful Richard Petty 70 Superbird, I want to let you all know about a new partnership. Angelo's Workbench and Hobbynut Models have joined forces together to bring you great deals. So if you are already shopping through another YouTube channel with Hobbynut Models, please continue to do so. You're supporting that channel and Hobbynut Models. If you are not, please follow the link in my description, support Hobbynut Models, and you will also be supporting Angelo's Workbench. Hey everybody, Angelo with Angelo's Workbench here with what we'll call a quick build. I am doing this Revell kit for my Uncle Mike out in Phoenix, Arizona. He's a huge Richard Petty fan, and I was kind of scoping out he's got die casts and he's got cars all over the place, whether they're 64th scale Hot Wheels or quarter scale or 18 scale die casts. He's got cars everywhere, but he doesn't have any of the Winged Warriors. So I searched out this kit on eBay and I found it. I found it for like 70 or 80 bucks because these are kind of hard to find now. And it's a rather interesting kit because it's a replica street racer. So if you're buying this kit because you want to build a NASCAR, this ain't it, right? It doesn't have the tube chassis. It doesn't have all of that, but it looks the part. So it's kind of like a regular Superbird that somebody created a replica out of, which is kind of cool. And you have the options to build it like this with the roof. And the roof, actually, the vinyl roof comes molded in. So if you choose to build it like the race car, you are going to have to sand off the roof. And they tell you that when you get to the body portion here. For the competition version, sand off the vinyl top, along with the ribs on the top of the roof. The original race car had no vinyl top. It was stripped and painted Petty blue along with the rest of the car, right? So I am doing this one. They even give you a couple of different sets of wheels to be able to have something that looks kind of NASCAR-esque, which is what I'm doing here. I noticed through doing some research, I'm not building this to be exact, but I noticed doing some online research that they used a dark blue for the wheels. So I've done a dark blue for the wheels. So that's the one I'm going with. So, and I am already a pretty good ways along on this. As you can see, this has been painted, decaled, and cleared. As well as I've done my trims, the trims that I'm going to do anyway. As well as, some letters on the back. And it's such a beautiful car. I love the Superbird. And that was kind of why I wanted to do this for him too. Because I just love the Superbird. And I've polished this out already, wet sanded, polished. The whole kit and caboodle has been done. So progress is being made. So that's why this is going to be a quick build. I'll take you guys through it, show you what I've done. I've done the chassis here. I've done some details, picked out some brake lines, left the frame black, kind of looks cool. I've got the hood here ready to go, also clear-coated, polished, and decaled. And I've gone in and detailed the hood pins. They're there. I've got all the parts painted. They're all over the place. The workbench is kind of crazy. And I've got the motor here ready to go. The oil filter is, the oil filter is kind of weird on this kit. It just kind of like hangs out there off of the oil pan. It just seems kind of weird. But there it is, white as per the kit instructions. And there is actually a decal for it. There are some decals here that I haven't used yet. That one goes on the air cleaner. I think that one goes on the oil filter. There actually are a couple of gauges, too, that I could use for the dash, which I haven't gotten to yet. I have painted all of the parts, however. So if we got my little plastic bin here, you can see I've done the interior in black. I've done the seats in black. They're ready to go. The clear glass is ready to go. All the other black parts are here, ready to go. I've got the headers in steel. There are some parts that will remain chrome. I haven't decided whether or not to leave this bumper chrome. It appeared on the race car that it was some kind of a flat gray. So I may strip the chrome off this and do it in a gray. The carbs, I might leave chrome, I might not. We'll see what happens. I haven't gotten that far yet. Got the pistol grip shifter, which is super cool. I'll be detailing that a little bit before it goes into the interior right there. And, you know, we've got 3 pedals here, so a standard shift, according to that. And so the wheels and tires, I'm pretty pleased with how they came out. All I did was just paint them black and, paint them blue, and then pick out the centers with the silver. And then I had some Goodyear Eagle decals that were in stock because the tire decals that came with the kit weren't any good. I tried to use them, and they wouldn't stick to the tire. They kept coming off. I was able to save the kit decals, however, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I clear coated over the top of them. Because if you look really closely, you can see there's just a little bit of, in the decal, there's a little bit of a foreign material, and that is that funky color stuff that gets on the other side of the decals when they get like this. They're no longer blue, they're kind of like a yellowy. Well, it worked out okay. I had bought another set of decals as a backup just in case. But then this decal is one that you have to cut the whole thing out. So you have to match that blue, and I clearly didn't match the blue. I used grabber blue. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel with accuracy here. I had some grabber blue left over from the Mustang build, and I had read online that grabber blue is very close to petty blue. So I used the grabber blue, and everything is fine, and it looks absolutely stunning. I have to say that I'm very proud of the paint job on this car. My uncle is going to be over the moon. So I have picked out the door handles, some of the window trims. I'm not going to get this chrome trim back here because it doesn't exist on the race car. I'm just going to leave it blue. I'm also not going to pick out the marker lights because they don't exist on the race car. I'm going to just leave them there blue so that they kind of disappear, and that's it. So I'm going to do some work, and I'll bring you back. Again, this is a quick build, so this will be a 1 video deal. This will be a quick build. We'll go through it, and we'll have a completed slideshow at the end, and then we'll move on to the next build. So I will be right back. So coming back to it, I've built up the chassis. The chassis is looking pretty good. Done a couple little touch-ups here and there that needed to be done. Got the motor in there. Not going to super detail or do wires or anything. We're just going to leave it just that way. The body hasn't really changed much. Still pretty much the same. It's ready to go. Getting ready to put the glass in. So the glass comes in this kit. It's one of those like one-piece glasses, which is relatively easy to deal with. And there's some headlights that are in the center. We just got to trim this sprue out of here. And we'll save those aside. And I got a little tiny bit of flash right there to just take care of real easy. There we go. And then this looks pretty good, neat, clean, ready to go. I've got a little hole here for a rear view mirror. It appears that there are 2 holes here. It says that the rear view mirror goes in that front one. This back one maybe mounts into, there's pins in the hood, in the roof, I mean. So when you place this glass in, there is, look at that. There are spots that the pins go into the glass and hold them in place. It looks like this one isn't really cooperating, so I might just make that hole a little bigger. But, actually, no, there it goes. Wow, that goes in there really nice, and it almost holds in there by pressure. That's pretty interesting. So I'll give this a little wipe down with a microfiber, just because I've got some dust in a couple of spots here. So I always keep a microfiber handy to give it a little wipe down. There we go. And I'll end up wiping it down again before it goes in. But for right now, we can just get the rear view mirror going. And I brought it over here. And I set it down right here with the radiator. Aha, here we go.
And just taking a look at it, making sure that it doesn't need anything, and it does. It's got a little tiny, from where I de-sprued it, it's got a little tiny bit of, and then once I get it mounted into the windshield, I will, oh, and look at that, it's got a nice little pin and goes into a nice little hole. That's very easy. Once I get that all squared away, I'll go at it with a little Molotow chrome pen and just kind of touch it up. So I think I can use a very, very small amount of the model glue that I like, the Faller glue. There we go, a very, very small amount. And then we'll just kind of stick this in there. It has a nice, like, pressure fit almost. There we go. So now I'll just let that cure and touch up that little spot with the Molotow chrome pen. And then we'll be gluing the glass in with Mod Podge. In fact, we could probably do that now. So I'll get my microfiber cloth here that I keep handy. It is also useful for when you're about to put the glass into the body, so that you don't have your nice shiny clear coat rubbing up against the workbench. We can put it like that. And then I've got my Mod Podge here, which is going to get shaken up. And then I just need a toothpick. And then there's the 3 very easy to see pins that are nowhere near the edge, so we don't have to worry about glue oozing out. And there are 2 other pins down beneath the window. Those hold the interior. So the interior goes in a very positive mounting location, which is always nice. And then we can mount this window in. And there we go. And we'll let the Mod Podge cure for a while. I just want to look and make sure that I'm actually on the, there we go. Didn't quite feel like it was seating. Now it is. And there we go. And then looking from the other side, the glass has, the glass is up against where it's supposed to be. It's not hanging down. And there it goes. Nice and snug. So we'll go ahead and we'll let that cure. And then when we come back, we'll put the radiator panel in. I'll go ahead and I'll detail the radiator cap. Can do that now. And then we'll go ahead and we'll put the radiator panel in. And then get ready to mate the body to the chassis. That's what's coming up next. Once we do the radiator panel. Oh, we do the interior, of course. We do the interior first, which is relatively straightforward. You know, a dashboard, a steering wheel, a shifter, and a couple of seats. And then there is a back shelf, which I think is supposed to kind of make it look more like the race car. Then the interior goes in, and then we put the completed chassis onto the body. And then it's just, you know, finishing up some final trim, and then this one will be done. So, we'll be back shortly. So, building up the interior on the Petty 43 car, and I am just going to do just a little bit of detailing. I mean, nothing too crazy. I'm not trying to set any, you know, massive super detailing records or anything here. But just to give a little bit of visual interest, I'll just pick out some of the buttons and switches in silver as I go through. And then there are some decals for the gauges. Only 2, because there's 4 little gauges over here that there's no decals for. And then I would probably maybe just do a little wash afterwards. And then, let's see here. These guys, I want to get most of the paint off of my toothpick and then maybe just rub the toothpick in there. Give it a little bit of a look of a gauge, kind of, sort of. And that looks pretty good. Oh, wait, we've got some more buttons over here. And it doesn't have to be, you know, super detailed, but that looks pretty good. I got a couple little bit of things to have some visual interest. And so now I've got the decals right here that are ready to go. And right after I find my tweezers, which are missing. They are right here in front of me. So let's have a see if these guys are ready to come off the paper. And they are. Wow, these gauges are massive. That is a massive amount of carrier film around the edge of that decal. And it has a lot of that yellow color on it. So I'm just kind of cleaning it with the Mark Fit. And then I will just kind of drop it in there. We'll let the Mark Fit do its thing. There is quite a bit of, as I said, carrier film. I mean, that is just massively huge. But the Mark Fit can clean it off so that it won't be left on the decal. All right. And there we go. So I'll let the Mark Fit just kind of settle on that for a few minutes. And then I'll take the end of a Q-tip and I'll push it in. What it does is it dries it up, obviously, but it also pushes the gauge into where it's supposed to be, like that. And then I'll do this other one. Needs to get moved a little first. You got to make sure it's centered when you push it with the Q-tip. There we go. And I'm going to give it a push. And now you can see the gauge has recessed itself into the hole. And that looks pretty good. I'm down with that. All right, so we have a little bit more detail to do on the steering wheel here, but I'm not going to do that until I glue the wheel in place because I don't want to fight with the steering wheel. So I'm just going to put a little dab of my Faller glue. I get a lot of questions about this glue. Faller 170492. It's really good. I like it. I like that it has a metal tip. And it's a really good glue. It works quickly, it sticks quickly, and it if you don't scrape the paint off, which I don't often, it still sticks well, but then it also has a tendency to remove some of the paint for you. So you do, in fact, get a good joint, a good bond. And I'm just picking up this little horn ring here just to add a little visual interest to the steering wheel. I don't know if it was actually silver or not. This being a NASCAR probably had a, well, if this was the real stock car, probably had a NASCAR steering wheel. But since this is just a replica, a street car made to replicate the Petty car, I'm assuming that this is a stock steering wheel and that there would be a little chrome on it. All right, so that takes care of that. And when we come back, I'll let this cure for a little minute. And when we come back, we will assemble the interior. So now we're going to assemble some interior here. We'll put the seats in and the dashboard. And of course the shifter. Can't forget that. And in fact, we'll stick that shifter in there first. And I'm still going to touch up that handle on that shifter a little bit. Not quite done there. There we go. Moving right along. We'll drop this dashboard in. Okay. Needs a little touch up in the corners. And then the other piece that it has this back shelf, which doesn't have, oh, I guess it does have. It has two little mounting tabs here and here that make it very obvious to you where it has to go. Just going to put a little extra glue just in case. It is interesting that I wonder what the purpose of that is. Well, there it is. Okay, there's an interior. And we'll let this cure and let the glue harden a little bit before I go putting it into the body, just in case it, I don't want it to come loose and then I got to pull it out again and it becomes a whole problem. So I'll just let this sit for a little minute and then we will move on. Now I'm going to go ahead and install the interior into the body. And there are two big mounting tabs right here. Mounting pins, we'll call them. The mounting tabs are actually on the interior. And so we'll just kind of slide that into place. And let's see here. There we go. There's one side. The other side doesn't want to cooperate. Ah, there we go. Perfecto. Well, it's kind of in there. And now it wants me to drop this right straight on. And it's going. So far, so good, without a tremendous amount of difficulty. There we go. Aha. Yeah. Well, that wasn't too bad at all for a vintage. Well, I don't know if it's vintage, but I think this kit's been out a while. I just paid close attention to where the fan was. And, wow, that looks sweet. Awesome. I'm going to check and make sure. Look at how the frame matches right up against the engine compartment very nicely. I'm inclined to think that that does not require any more glue. It is going to need a lot of polishing. There are a lot of fingerprints all over this beautifully painted and clear-coated body. So I will definitely be wiping this down. But that looks pretty good. So we're going to let that just kind of set. And then we will start doing some of the final assembly. We're going to do the taillights and... oh. So they have the rear taillight panel out of the car. And I have the taillight panel in the car. Which means that I may have to take this back out in order to get those taillights in there. Yep, because I wanted to put this in before I painted it and cleared it. So I'm going to have to do that first. So let's go ahead and let's take this back out. It shouldn't be that hard. Should just pop right out. Theoretically, it popped right in. So note to self, if you're building this kit, there it goes. Comes right out nice and easy. Excellent. So if you are building this kit and you do like I did, where you glue the rear panel in so that you can paint it all together, you will need to finish installing the taillights and the back bumper before you assemble the body. You'll have to go a little bit out of order. So keep that in mind. But as you saw, there was no difficulty getting the body on and off the chassis. Is relatively straightforward. And now I will go ahead and finish putting the taillights in and the back bumper on. Then we can put it all together. Stick around. So as I said just a few moments ago, we need to put in the brake lights and the rear bumper before we mount the chassis. It's relatively easy to do. And there we go. And what I did was, they're a chrome plated part, and I just did a little transparent red over them, which is what they call for, and you get what looks like taillights. So we'll get the back bumper ready to go and move on to that next. So for the back bumper, there are a couple of spots where I did some scraping in here and along these edges, because I want to be able to get a pretty good bond on this back bumper. I don't want it coming off too easily. So I will just put a little dab of glue here on the edges. And then when the bumper seats, you'll see what I mean. It goes in fully because I test fitted it already, just to be sure that it fit okay. Whoop, and it popped right off. That was pretty interesting. Could have done without that. It did not do that during the test fit. All right. There. The pins are in. The sides are in. Really not a lot of drama with that back bumper. Model cars, sometimes the back bumper can be problematic. And as you can see, that went right together. So now we are ready for this. So I'm going to do it just like I did last time. I'm going to line up that fan. And then I'm going to pull the passenger side. That was easy. And now we have the advantage of having this back together. Excellent. So that looks really, really good. My uncle is going to love this. So we'll set this aside. And then we'll, there's some final detail pieces. There's a couple of air vents, radiator hose, some grills. And then I believe there is a master cylinder for under the hood. And then pretty much I'm opting to not put the mirrors on, because I noticed a lot of photos of the race car don't have mirrors. And the chrome would look kind of out of place. I've gone with a steel trim on this car because that's what his race car looked like it had. And I'm not really necessarily going for historical accuracy either, because obviously this is a copy. It's not one of the original cars, and I think the steel looks good, so I like it. So it's going to be done like this. And it's going to look really good, I think. Let's scare up the hood here. And let's put the hood on. Let's see what it looks like with the hood on. There it is. Hood seat's nice. And this is coming out great. Uncle's going to go nuts. So, come on back for more. We'll finish this up. So, just a few quick things to finish up here now. I'm going to get to work. There are some air vents that go underneath this part. And these are very easily, they literally just drop into place. So I just need to get a little bit of glue here. And there we go. And they just kind of pop right in. Like so. And then we have the other side. There we go. And then we have this side, which looks like it goes like that. No, I had a 50-50 shot. Let's see here. Oh, there we go. I got it in there correctly. It just doesn't seem to be making contact with anything that's going to hold it in place. Okay. So we got to go along the edge. I tried to put it in the middle. It didn't work. There we go. Now it's grabbing the glue, I believe. Looks like it's backwards. I'm going to try flipping it over. I think I have my top and bottom mixed. Yeah, that looks much better. It fits better that way. There we go. Excellent. Okay. Boy, there's fingerprints all over this thing. That takes care of the air vents in the front. Then we can do the master cylinder next, along with the radiator hose. Now, the master cylinder has a little square area here, which matches up with a little square area there. And I am hopeful that this will hold without a tremendous amount of hassle. Held for a second. And now it's giving me a hassle. So we'll get it in there eventually. Gonna make sure that it is down far enough under the hood. I don't want it to make contact with the hood. There is a little notch that shows you where it goes, and it says that that's it. Let's see what happens when I put the hood on. Well, the hood fits. It fits all the way. And this has moved, which tells me that the hood, this might need to be relocated a little bit further down in order to fit. We'll find out. Do the radiator hose for now. So now we'll just connect the radiator hose, which is relatively straightforward. There is a part on the motor where it goes, and a part on the radiator where it goes. And we'll see how we did with our engine mounting. Now is the moment of truth. It looks like it'll fit perfectly. Just have to finagle it in there. There we go. Excellent. So let's try fitting the hood one more time. I'm going to see if the hood moves that brake master cylinder. Yeah, I can feel it making contact with the brake master cylinder, I think. Yep, the master cylinder has moved. So we are going to relocate it ourselves into a slightly lower position. And it does not want to go. Ah, there we go. All right, I think we've got it there. So that takes care of the master cylinder. The only thing I have left to do on this car, and then it is done, is the decal on the air cleaner. So I will get that started and then bring you back for a final slideshow.
And here we are with the final slideshow. The 70 Superbird is such a beautiful car. It is one of my favorites. I have several of these in the stash. The vinyl roof was interesting, sanding that off. I did a lot of primer sand, but I did eventually get 99% of it. There's still a little hint of it if you look very closely, but it doesn't look that bad. The idea of it being a street replica car is kind of cool to me. I kind of like that. And the petty blue and grabber blue being one of my favorite colors, and the petty blue being so close, is a excellent color. I just love it. So the build itself came out very well. The kit was easy to assemble. You saw me, I had to take the chassis off and put it back on a couple of times, and that was very easily done. The decals were very old, but I was able to get them to seat. Unfortunately, the tire decals I could not, so I went with new ones. So the build itself is fantastic. I hope that you enjoyed following along and watching. I just couldn't stop taking pictures of the car. The car's so beautiful. I like this view, especially from the top rear like that. It just looks very cool. And of course, the Superbird looks great from any angle. So please like, share, comment, subscribe. All of those things help the channel. Also, if you're not already making purchases from Hobbynut Models through another YouTube channel, by all means, check out my description. Go and visit Hobbynut Models. They've got great products. Any purchases that you make will help benefit my channel as well as Hobbynut Models. Also, check me out on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, all under the name Angelo's Workbench. Come on back next week for a brand new project. I look forward to seeing you all then.